Om Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Prasthaya Bhutale Okay, so today we are going to okay, yesterday we saw how the Shabda Pramana is important, and now let's discuss some of the examples which we took yesterday. So how many of you remember some of the examples which we took to prove how Shabda Pramana is perfect or is the most authentic way of getting knowledge? We took some examples, some analogies, some of those important points what we gave. So if you can remember something from that, you can please share. Anything, if you remember. Why Shabda Pramana is considered the most authentic. And we mentioned this, that all other ways of gaining knowledge are also not wrong. We need to have some of the things we need to have direct sense perception, and we need to understand through a direct perception as well. But we cannot only rely on that. That's what we saw, that Shabda Pramana is always the first step. And if possible, that can be substantiated by other pramanas like Pratyaksh Pramana, where, for example, one of the examples which we saw in last class was even in schools and colleges, whenever we have to go for practicals, there is always first some theory classes, because you need to gain some knowledge about the subject before you even come into direct utilization or experience or practical experience of it. For example, if somebody has to fly a plane, he cannot directly put into the plane and start flying and then say, I'll learn by trial and error. No, you have to first understand the mechanics, what thing is what, how it is gone, what are the problems with that, what kind of things can cause accidents, what are the things to prevent accidents. So once you have that theoretical knowledge initially, that will make you, at least that will give you some idea. And then when you go and do it, the chance of errors reduces. So that's why Shabda Pramana is always the first and foremost step of gaining knowledge. One more example we saw, if we don't follow Shabda Pramana, what will happen? Can anybody remembers one more example what we took yesterday? Yes. Panchdeep, Dhananjay, Shriya, Saurav, Sanket. Nobody remembers? Arun. Okay, so is my voice clear? Rajesh, am I audible, clear today?
Yes, Prabhu, it's
Okay.
clear.
Thank you. So one very important example what we saw is of mother. If you have, or father, if a child has to find out who is his father, then one way is just to ask the mother. Otherwise, if you enter into testing DNA, then so many people are there, for whom do you test? Even to give us idea of who all are suspected people, you still need mother. So that's an example what we saw of how Shabda Pramana is most important. And then we went to next class, yesterday's topic, where we actually went into how to put a full stop to our suffering, because we see that generally most of the steps what we see towards our sufferings are short term. And one more thing what we first saw is, what are the real problems? So there were 3 criteria to tell a problem as a real problem. And one was that it should be, okay, let me ask this. Will you like to answer what are the criteria for a problem to be a real problem? So what did we discuss yesterday about this? What are the 3 criteria for a problem to be told as a real problem? Okay, first is it should be common to all. Yes, Dhananjay, thank you. So it should be common to all. What else? What are the other things? Yes, you can start typing. Shreya, thank you. Nobody wants it. Yes, so first is should be common to all. Second is nobody wants it. And what was the third criteria? Yes, you are very close. Panchadeep, everyone has to go through it. Yes, so nobody can avoid it. Everyone has to go through it. So these are the 3 criteria for a problem to be a real problem. So now let's come to the question of what are the real problems in life, which fulfill all the 3 criteria. Yes, you can quickly tell what are the 4 problems, cardinal problems: birth, disease, death, old age. Oh, Panchadeep is very fast. Sushma is also telling birth. Yes. So birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. And we also saw there are 3 types of kleshas or miseries given to us. What are the 3 types of kleshas or miseries which we experience in our life? One of you told life itself is a problem. Anyways, so what are the 3 kleshas? Yes, quickly. Adhyatmik, adhibhautik, and okay, adhyatmik klesha, adhibhautik klesha, and one more. Adhi, adhivik, devik. Okay, yes, adhidevik. So mix of Shriya and Saurav. Adi Devik. So that means, but you understood because somebody has written Deva. Yes, it comes from Daiva or your demigods or natural calamities, basically from nature. So Adhyatmik is your mental issues, your own mind and body. Adi Bhautik is from other living entities, and Adi Daivik is from the natural calamities which comes from the nature. So we all are we all have to undergo these things. There is no solution in material terms. Everybody has to go through it. It's common to everyone and nobody can avoid it. Yes. The next question is, or next topic what we discuss, how the current science and technology are giving short-term solutions. They're not giving complete solutions. For example, we saw yesterday one of the examples of how scriptures gives you complete solution. For example, one of the bigger problem in this world today is racism on the basis of the body. You are black, I'm white. So many Jews and this Nazis, all this concentration camps were put by Hitler, and so many people were killed. And then so many blacks were discriminated from whites in US. And like this, there's so much of discrimination which happens. People say you look black, or you look white, or you look ugly, or you look beautiful, or you look old and you look new. So many people get tension because they're getting old. So many people fight on the basis of this mine and yours. But if we understand we are not the body, actually we are the soul, and we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, what will happen? Our real identity will come in. Then we will understand that we are all sons and daughters of the same father. So all of us have a relationship with each other. Then why should we fight? So this is a final solution from scriptures. And otherwise temporary solutions are from whatever science is giving. Bring some technology, get some medicine, take some and get some painkillers, get relief for some time, and that's it. So let's go into those permanent solutions today. Anyone has any doubts or questions from last class? Okay, so let's go ahead. Next slide. Yeah, so two cardinal questions. Why am I suffering and what is the goal of life? Very, very important questions. Everyone actually should put forth these questions. Why am I suffering? Am I really made for suffering? People say everyone has to suffer, but why? What is the reason? Just because I'm in this world, I have to suffer? Yes. Next. So why am I suffering? So now the questions come from scriptures. We suffer the threefold miseries and 4-year problems of life because we have turned away from God and are acting sinfully against God's laws. For example, child leaving the custody of the parents. For example, let's say there is a child and their parents. Now a child in his childish nature say, parents don't allow me to do what I want. I want to do like this. They always say yes or no, but I have to take permission from them. Can't I live alone? Can't I do things as I want? So a child just leaves the home. Though the father is a millionaire, child just leaves the home and he wants to do on his own. But what happens? When you go out, there's nobody to help you. Your parents are there but at home, but now there's nobody to help you. What will the child do? He'll beg, borrow, and steal because then there is nobody. So he goes into more anxiety just because he has left the parents. But as long as he was with the parents, the only thing he has to do is obey by their laws. And if he just do this one thing, that one simple qualification to obey by their laws, give him that what is a privilege to enjoy everything what the parents have. Just there's one thing to follow what their laws are. They are not your enemies, but and you should also understand they are actually your well-wishers, and whatever laws they are creating for you are actually for your good. But our mind tells I no, don't follow anybody. And just for that one dictation of mind, we leave everything and we have to suffer. Ultimately, we have to suffer because we came away from the parents. Similarly, we came in this material world and we have turned our back to the Lord. And that's why we have problem here. Whatever comes, it does not satisfy us from inside. Only something spiritual satisfies us actually. That is because we are not the products of this world. We are just here for some purpose. And the main reason is that we have turned away from Lord. And we are trying to find all the happiness which is existing in material world here. I mean, which exists with the Lord here in material world. And because we are searching it here, and this is not the place for it, we get into trouble. So let's go ahead. What are the spiritual solutions? Aligning with God helps you to overcome suffering. So now when we say overcome suffering, that overcome suffering means your attitude completely changes. See, whatever is in your fate has to come, but your attitude towards that changes. For example, for a very high-fi person who is always traveling in private jet and business class, if he has to go through a train, it's a suffering for him. Or if he has to walk a little bit greater distance, it's a suffering for him because his standard of living is coming down. He has to lower his needs. He has to come down into his luxuries. So that's a misery for him. But if somebody was on a spiritual path and understood that simple living, high thinking is the best thing, no matter whether he is in plane, private jet, or a train, or a bus, or walking, it doesn't matter for him. So just one spiritual understanding, the attitude changes. Simple living, everything for the service of the Lord. That just changes the attitude towards the life and towards that misery. And by change of that attitude, now that misery does not Misery comes. It was so called a misery, but it does not give him trouble because he has changed his attitude towards things. And that is what spirituality does to us. Miseries will continue to come, but by spiritual vision, we learn to change that misery into a luxury. Mhm. So we get accustomed to handle everything. And that is the speciality, and that is what are the spiritual solutions. But material solutions cannot give you that. Material solution means if I have to travel in a train, that means maybe I don't have that much money. So, or I have lost some money. I was traveling in business class, now I have to travel in economy class. So now next, what will you do? Either you go into trouble, tension, or you say, I have to work hard, more hard, get more money. Ultimately, what do you do that more money? The same travel which you can do in a economy class, now you will do in a business class because you have more money. So you raise your standard of living. And that's where the problem starts. So that's why material problems, material solutions are not long lasting. It's the spiritual solutions who are long lasting. Next. That's what we are trying to get. So again, the cardinal questions, why am I suffering and what is the goal of life? Yes. So what's the goal of life? Vedic wisdom provide the answer. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani girnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnan yanyani sanyati navani dehi. So this is one example, one verse which we saw last time also. The change, what is death actually? In spiritual terms, as per Bhagavad Gita, death means change of body. So he says a sober person, what does he does? He does not get bewildered by changing of bodies. Why? Because this death means change of body is like anybody change their clothes. Today you are in this body, tomorrow you will be in some other body. So just that gap between that is considered death. But soul is never dying. Soul is always eternal. Soul never die. As a person puts new dress, leave old one, the soul similarly accept new bodies and leave the old ones. So this is a very big solution to problem which Arjuna had, that so many of my family members will get killed. And another problem which we has is if some very near and dear person leave his body, we feel a lot of separation from them and we cry, which is fine, which is acceptable. But ultimately, we need to understand that now it's a time for us to help that soul who is now left one body and wants to enter another body. So at least that transition should be smooth. That is what should be our prayer for them. Let the transition be smooth. Let the soul gets a good, healthy body to enter and then continue his devotional service. And let whatever who is dying, let them reduce their attachment to body so that when the soul is removed from the body, they does not feel so much pain. As we discussed yesterday, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Why Janma? We saw one video. And why Mrityu? Because it's like equal biting of 40,000 scorpion at the same time, simultaneously. So we can pray that Lord, please reduce their pain and suffering. That's what we can do when somebody leaves the body. So next, what happens to us at death? The soul leaves the gross body behind and take into another womb based on the quality and desires stored in his subtle mind. Yes, like the same person is changing the vehicles. So similarly, the soul also changed the bodies. Next. So the spirit soul moved from one body to another. Next. So now, on what basis the soul is awarded the next body? This should be the next question. What type of body am I going to get next? Will I get a healthy body, or will I have to will adjust with a painful and diseased body? So there are children who are born with diseases, and their children, most of the children are born healthy. So it is told, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajantyante kalevaram Tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. So whatever someone remembers at the time of death, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Next slide. Same type of body you get next. So whatever state of being one remembers, that's what he's going to get. So we accept one body after quitting another depending upon the desires in the mind and our karma. So whatever desire I have developed in my body, not body, but in my mind, that type of body I am going to get. For example, if somebody is wants to, uh, eat a lot of non-veg, then they get a body which is suitable to eat non-veg without so much of trouble. See here, somebody has to cut it, another person has to cook it, another person has to eat, and you have to pay as well. So if somebody is too much attached to eating non-veg, the body which is kept for them is of a tiger and lion. That means carnivore animals. So now your whole body is there designed in that way that you can eat animals and you will not get disease by eating animals. So whatever we think, that kind of body we are getting. The people who are too miser or too cunning, they get they become wolf. People who are very simple, they become cow. So whatever we remember the time of death, that's what we get. Whatever our mindset is, that kind of body do we get. Next. And the second question was karma. So this is what I told you yesterday. Tomorrow we are going to talk about this law of karma. Harivardhan is telling, if I remember Ambani, you want to get a body like Ambani? You want to get wealth like Ambani? My God, if you remember Ambani, and I don't know how much disease-free is Ambani, but I know one thing, that the person who started the Ambani empire, that is Dhirubhai Ambani, was suffering from brain stroke at the time of his last years. So if you want that kind of body, it's upon you. And out of two Ambanis, they had a lot of family trouble. They had fights among each other, and one person is now kind of bankrupt, another person is one of the wealthiest. So there's so much disparity in that as well. So the thing is, as you sow, that shall you reap. So shall you reap. So every action has equal and opposite reaction. So that is the law of karma. So what are the types of reaction? See, we can have two types of reaction. Either an instant reaction. Immediately you do something, immediately you get something. And another one is a delayed reaction. So you do something today, but you get the fruits little later. Next. So in human form of life, we have got developed intelligence to discriminate and lead a responsible life. So that is what something we need to inculcate in ourselves. But if one engages in sinful activities, and what type of sinful activities? Now, if there is a scripture by name Srimad Bhagavatam, and what happened, how this whole Kali Yuga started, the story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Kali Yuga or Kali personified, he comes to Parikshit Maharaj, who was the last ruler of Pandava dynasty. That means the last part of the Dwapar Yuga, the previous Yuga, that is 5,000 years back. So this Kali comes and he enters into a Parikshit Maharaj's place, and there were it is told that dharma stands on four pillars. So there is truthfulness, then there are four pillars of that. So there is dharma, sacrifice. So there are four pillars basically, and three of the pillars are gone, and there was some kind of adharma happening there, because there was a person who was actually beating the cow, who has only one leg to go ahead and move, whereas the cow is not in the condition to move. but a person is still beating the cow to move. And when Parikshit Maharaj on a trip of his kingdom, when he saw this, he became very disturbed and he challenged that person that if you do that kind of atyachara on that cow, I'll kill you. He said, but I'm Kali, I'm supposed to do adharma. But he said, okay, if you want, and then Kali says, but I'm your pupil as well. I'm a part of your uh, uh, um, I'm your pupil. That means I'm a part of your kingdom. So whatever I say, you need to give me some place. So then Parikshit Maharaj think and say, okay, I give you place at 4 places. You can reside in 4 places. So the first place where Kali was given a place is where there is gambling happening. Okay, meat eating. Okay, that's first thing. Wherever there is meat eating, then there is gambling, then there is alcoholism or addiction, intoxication, and then there is illicit sex. So wherever these 4 things happen, those are the 4 places given for Kali to stay. So when Kali Yuga heard this, he still became morose. We can wait, Prabhu, don't go ahead. So he still became morose and he said, why are you joking with me? He said, why? I'm not joking. I gave you 4 places. But he says, your kingdom is so dharmic that all these 4 things does not exist. And that is almost equivalent to telling me to go out. You have to give me 1 more place. So then he says, okay, I'll give you 1 more place where there is illegal accumulation of money or gold. That is where I'll reside. So Kali Yuga resides where there is illegitimate accumulation of gold or money. So that's why these 4 things are considered the pillars of sinful life, because Kali Yuga enters anywhere these 4 things are happening. Where there is gambling which happens, where there is intoxication. Intoxication means smoking or drinking alcohol or drinking anything which cause addiction. So that's intoxication, like drugs, etc. And then there is no meat eating. Yes. And wherever there is killing of animals just to eat is the place where Kali resides, and where there are illegal or illicit sexual relationships. So these are the places where Kali Yuga resides. Next. So these are the 4 pillars or steps towards hellish life. So when one ignores God's laws and engage in sinful activities, then one glides down to animal bodies and repeated birth and death. So Harivardhan is asking, why sacrifice chicken? Nobody sacrifices chicken actually. Only people eat for their sense gratification, but nobody sacrifices chicken as such. At least I have not heard. I don't know. Okay, next. You see, so the people who are eating non-veg, as I told you, they become tigers, because there you have free hand to eat non-veg or whatever flesh you want. Next. And I'm not telling this, only the slides are not telling this, is coming from scriptures directly, especially Srimad Bhagavatam. So anybody who is too much attached to sleeping becomes like a polar bear, where you can sleep for months together. So too much attached to sleeping. And then people who are too much attached to exposing their bodies and wearing less clothes, then they get a body of a tree, because tree does not need to wear clothes. So you also don't need to wear clothes. You're just exposed because you like to expose. So these are all laws of karma given in scriptures, and nobody can disobey that. You have to come or you have to get punished if you disobey. These are like laws. So if you obey God's laws, following the principles of austerity, cleanliness, sacrifice, and truthfulness. Okay, knowledge, association of saints, sacrifice, austerity, knowledge, and association of saints. So these are the principles are given by the Lord. So what happens next? So by doing this, there'll be no birth, death, old age, and disease. So now we are getting a spiritual solution to the cardinal problems of life. If we do these things, we don't have to take birth again. The whole problem starts with birth. If there is no birth, then there is no old age, no disease, no death as well. So by practicing these things, we need not take birth again in this world, because that's where we get liberated. And then the whole cycle of birth and death is finished. We just have to follow the principles of laws. And it's not like only after death only we'll get peace. No. When you practice the laws of the Lord, within this birth, we get that peaceful environment. So the laws of the God are A, B, C, D, E, as we saw in one of the initial classes. Association of devotees, association of like-minded people who are spiritualists, reading the books of Sanatan Dharma like Bhagavad Gita, chanting the names of the Lord. So we'll have a next session. What we are going to discuss today is upon chanting. Then eating the sanctified sattvic food, which is known as prasadam, which is offered to the Lord first, and proper engagement into the service of the Lord. So these are A, B, C, D, E of spiritual life: association, books, chanting, diet, and engagement. Next. So we have to develop the man who has escaped from the three gates of hell: lust, anger, and greed. O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. So that's how our step towards the Lord goes. So Krishna says, Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. So this is considered as the place of misery. So after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So once they reach there, all those things are gone. So summary. So we have 4 real problems. That's what we have discussed. We have scientific solutions, but they are just like stopgap solutions. And then we have Vedic wisdom, which is the full stop to the miseries. That's why it's a genius. Okay, so this was about the yesterday's class, and now we'll share the mind map to you later in the group. And now let's go to today's topic. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments, then you are free to type in the chat box. So yes, if Arivardhan wants to know why sacrifice chicken, again, nobody sacrificed chicken, but yeah, nobody is actually allowed to practice this killing in Kali Yuga, even if it is given in scriptures, because scriptures for Kali Yuga, killing of animals is banned. So we may quote some of the scriptures, but ultimately Vyasdev in his final scriptures have told, and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is considered as a hidden incarnation of Lord, which happened 500 years back in place of Nadia district of West Bengal. He told that sacrificing animals in Yajna in Kali Yuga is prohibited because there are no proper Brahmanas who can actually give them the life again. So the purpose of sacrificing a cow in a charity or in a Yajna was that cow will immediately get promoted to human life. But now it's prohibited because no Brahmanas are pure that they can chant the mantra properly, and such type of thing can happen. Okay, so I request Prajesh Prabhu to please share the slides. And today we are going to discuss a very important thing, which is mantra meditation. So this mantra meditation is something which is given as the Yuga Dharma of this age. What is Yuga Dharma? Yuga Dharma means the best way of approaching the Lord as per the time, place, and circumstance. So in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, what is the best way? So there were some ways described in Satya Yuga, some ways in Treta Yuga, some ways in Dwarka Yuga. So, okay, and that does not mean the other ways are wrong, but that means that current scenario, this is the best way of approaching the Lord and worshipping the Lord. So sublime joy through sound, how this sound actually is changing our lives, to feel the inner peace and joy. So this is what we'll see today, how the sound is actually changing so many things. So we'll divide the whole class into what are the power of sound vibration. One of the video we have seen yesterday, the mantra chanting. So sound can do so many things. One of the glass was broken, we saw that. Yes. So today we'll see the power of sound. Okay. Yes. You would have seen actually, there is so much of change which is brought by the sound vibration. People can cause so much of disturbance in society by their speeches. So it's the sound which is entering their mind, their ears, and into the heart. And it can create so much, it can encourage so many people, and at the same time, it can create so much of social problems. It can create revolutions actually, because the sound can invoke emotions. Sound can change the physiology of your body. That's why you saw sound can break things and sound can make things as well. There are healing music through sound, and then there are healing therapies, and then there are disturbing sounds as well. People have heart attacks because of some kind of sounds, and people have healing effect because of other kind of sound. There are some sounds which are used to promote sleep, and there's some sound which is has capability to disrupt sleep. So sound has a lot of, the sound vibration has a lot of effect on the human body, and not only human body, in all the species. Next. That's why sometimes in a bad mood, you go and hear some good music and you start feeling good. All of you would have experienced this. Yes. So there's a case studies, like there were people who actually, I will not take all the studies today, but let's see the first one. So there were people actually who wanted to, cut the trees. So all that they did is they went to the tree and they start abusing the tree, telling all the wrong things, all negative things. And over the time, they found out the trees are finished. And similarly, there are communities who actually love trees like anything, and they go and hug the tree every time. And they've seen the trees actually grow up. And then the Daiva gardening, and so many examples are there how sound actually affects. Okay, next. Now let's see what is a mantra. So actually, mantra is comprised of two words, mana and tra. Tra means deliverer or trayate. So manaha trayate iti mantra. So mana means mind, trayate means deliver. So mantra is something which can actually cleanse the mind or deliver the mind from all the impurities. That's the power of mantra. That's why mantra is something which is actually used to control the mind. It's the best way of meditation in this age of Kali Yuga. And that's why mantra meditation is recommended. And there are so many studies on this, and there are so many personalities who experienced that, and they are speaking from their experience, which we'll see today. So japa is known as personal meditation, and sankirtan is known as congregational chanting. But the whole idea is a mantra is supposed to be chanted. Next. So let's say of some scriptural references. Why the mantra is given so much of importance. So mantra is considered as the recommended process of self-realization. Yes. So like Satya Yuga, it is told what is the Yuga Dharma of Satya Yuga. At that time, what is the best thing to be done for worshipping the Lord was meditation on the super soul. So that was quiet meditation in Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga was performing sacrifices. You would have seen or heard in Ram Leela or Ramayana, Lord Rama doing very extensive yagyas, Ashwamedh Yagya, Putra Kamishti, extensive. They used to go for years together, and so much of paraphernalia and ingredients were used. So that was the Yuga Dharma for Treta Yuga. And for Dwapar Yuga, it was deity worship. You would have seen the personality of Godhead and others were worshipped very elaborately. Lord Krishna was worshipped by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So elaborate worship was the Yuga Dharma. Whereas Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is told as Hari Kirtanat. That means the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This is again directly taken from scriptures. Next. So what? Okay, it's not only about the Sanatan Dharma, but all major religions talk about chanting. That's why you see all religionists will have a chanting bead with them. The Christians will tell it as rosary beads, and Islam people also have beads or counters in their hand. So it's written there. See, Christ glorified the Lord's holy name by saying, Our Father, who are in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Islam, Muslims repeatedly chant the sacred name of God or Allah in their namaz. Sikhism, Guru Nanak used to pray, in the ambrosial hours of the morning, I meditate on the grace of the true name. Even in Guru Granth Sahib, you will hear the names like Shabad or Naam Sumiran. All these terms are coming in Guru Granth Sahib, which is the main religious book for Sikhs and Buddhism. They also practice repetition of name of Lord Buddha. Namu Amida Butsu. Next slide. So all the major religions actually talk, and see Sanatana Dharma recommends repetition of holy names in the form of mantra. So mantra is like a special arrangements of the names of the Lord together in a way which makes it more and more potent. And when chanted, then the effects are immense. Yes. Let's see some of the scriptural references of why the mantra is important. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashaka Nam Kali Kalmashanashanam Mattah Partaro Upaya Sarvavedreshu Drishyate. So after searching through all the Vedic literature, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than the chanting. So this is given in Kali Santaran Upanishad. Now Kali Santaran Upanishad is actually an Upanishad where the questions are asked by Narad Muni, that how the people in Kali Yuga will be delivered. These are the relevant questions asked by Narad Muni. And there the answer came like this, that this 16 syllable Shodashak means 16 syllable mantra. So if you see here, it's a 16 syllable mantra. So this chanting of the 16 syllable mantra, it has the power, Kali Kalmash Nashanam, the power to finish the kalmashas, the problems of Kali Yuga. So Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. And they say, Nattaha parataro upaya. There is no better way. Okay, there is no better way than that. Okay. So that's what is recommended in this Upanishad. And even in Brahmanda Puran, it is told Nama Sankirtan Deva Tarakam Brahma Drishyate. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The name Sankirtan, the Nam Sankirtan, the public chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra delivers a complete revolution or revelation of all spiritual reality. So this mantra itself is coming from scriptures. Nobody has created from their mental concoction. And this is, so first there is an importance of chanting the mantra. Now we may say, can I chant other mantras also? Yes, you can chant the mantra of the Lord, but we are just giving you some references of why in Kali Yuga this mantra is given more importance. But this is not to defer you from your devotion to the other mantras which you have, but this is some references which we have, and that's what is being presented in front of you. Yes, next. Kalir Doshanidhe Rajan. So this is another what do you say, Santwana given to the people of Kali Yuga. So it's a kind of discount given to us. He says Kali Yuga is full of doshas, so much of irreligiosity, so much of natural disaster, so much of problem, tension, all that what we saw. But there is one benediction. There is one special guna. Asti eko mahan guna. What? Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. So if you do the Kirtan of Krishna, this is directly given in Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear king, although age of Kali is full of faults, there is still one good quality. If it is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So that is the benediction given. There's a speciality of this mantra in Kali Yuga. So Dwapariya Janair Vishnu Pancharatrastu Kevalai Kalau tu Nama Matrena Pujyate Bhagavan Harihi. This is another thing, another reference coming from Narayan Samhita, that in this age of Kavali, people should simply chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So many references are coming from scriptures about the chanting of the mantra. And why this Maha Mantra only is taken. So all this is given. Okay. Another time, this even in Adi Leela, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam eva kevalam, Kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha. So there is no other way. It's telling 3 times repetition that in this age is the Harer Nam, the name of Lord Hari, the name of Lord Hari, the name of Lord Hari. No other way, no other way, no other way. So this is told in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. And then, in Srimad Bhagavatam again in 6th canto it is told, Etavan eva lokesmin pumsam dharma parasmitaha bhakti yoga bhagavati tannama grahanadibihi. The devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for the living entities in human society. So many of references from scriptures are coming up to substantiate the chanting of the mantras. And please remember, we saw Shabda Pramana. The mother is Vedas, the father is God. And to know the father, you have to go through the mother. And mother is telling GK, not only general knowledge, but God's knowledge. And this is all coming from those scriptures. Next. So we can all inculcate this. And now we may say, okay, these are all scriptural reference, but what about scientific research? So let's see what scientific research tells about chanting. There's so many researches done in India and mostly outside India. People have done their PhDs, people have done their thesis on the mantra meditation and the scientific effects of the mantra on the body. Yes. So one of the research is done on this Hare Krishna mantra, which we are just seeing. The research is done by Sattvatov Institute founder, Mr. David B. Wolf, on Hare Krishna mantra and effect on stress, depression, and the three gunas. Yes, next. And what did he find out?
Spiritual disciplines.
Yes, we can go to the video.
Spiritual disciplines recommend meditational practices such as silent meditation, silent recitation of mantras, and also the verbal repetition of specific mantras out loud. A clinical test of the benefits of mantra chanting was performed on 3 groups of 62 subjects, males and females of average age 25. They chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 25 minutes each day under strict clinical supervision. Results showed that regular chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra reduces stress and depression and helps reduce bad habits and addictions. These results formed a PhD thesis at Florida State University.
Okay. So this became a thesis in Florida University. See, people are actually going into that. And what is the abstract? Yes. Research on a group of 31 males and 31 females. And what did they found? Stress measured with index of clinical stress, generalized contentment scale, and modes of nature from Vedic personality inventory. And 3 groups. There was a Maha Mantra group, there is an alternate mantra group, and there is a control group where there is no mantra given. Let's see. Next. But they are given something to chant. Okay. So then they found out the effect. Okay. So Maha Mantra group, which is the yellow green one, they found the decrease in stress, the decrease in depression, and increase in sattva. All 3 are maximum in Maha Mantra group. And you can go to Google, nobody is faking it. You can go to Google and look for it. And this is a proper research which has become a PhD thesis. Next. So let's see the benefits of chanting Maha Mantra. So one, as we saw, mind. See, actually it is helping on working on mind, because if you see now, most of the disease are going through the mind. Mind is becoming very restless. It's not concentrating on things, and it creates a havoc. It takes a person to actually a very difficult state. There are people who are not able to control their emotions. There are people who even commit suicides, or they make their life hell just because the mind is not calm. Mind is not helping them. Mind is not supporting them. So we have to have some practices to control or relax this mind. And that's why this mantra meditation is very, very important. And so many people are now accepting it. They are trying it. This another thing that we saw in the previous sessions, how the mantra chanting actually, or the meditation actually brings us to that alpha zone, which is the relaxed zone. Yes. Next. So burn away bad habits. And there is a practical example. If you see the founder Acharya, whom you were seeing in that music what we played earlier of the Maha Mantra, when he went to West, he was preaching, or he was trying to tell the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita among the people. For them, anything which is in obstacle in what they want to do is waste. And anybody above 30 years of age, you should not listen to them. He is old, he is bad. And for them, the laws of society are waste. They were so averse to society that they want to do anything and everything which is especially against the laws of society. So they were doing everything. They were intoxicated. They were doing illicit sex on the road. They were walking nude. They were playing all kinds of drums. They were creating havoc, nuisance for police. They were drinking openly. Anything what you can think of was happening openly. They were urinating on the road. They were passing, sleeping on the road. Police has to come every night and put them and give them or pick them from the roads and clear the roads in the morning. That was the situation. And those people took up this chanting. Their heart changed. They left all these bad habits. They became very, very devoted to the service of the Lord. They took this Sanatan Dharma. Such people who were so downtrodden in their activities and habits, they were able to take this process of Sanatan Dharma and now follow so many rules and regulations given in scriptures, which was earlier their way of life. So all that is a living example of how this mantra is so important and take away the bad habits of people. Next. It can give us freedom from sinful reactions. Plundering, meat eating, we do so many sinful things. But if a person actually takes in the heart that I will not do these things again, and then if he takes the chanting of mantra, then he will be freed from those sinful reactions. We have examples in scriptures. For example, for a person whose name was Ajamil, he was very much into sinful activities, but at the time of death, he actually unknowingly called his son whose name was Narayan. And just because he took the name of Narayan, he was delivered. So the people who are into illicit connections, when they go to hell, what they have to do? They have to embrace a lady or a person which is made up of fire. And the people who are into intoxication, when they go to hell as a punishment, they are forced to drink the molten iron metal. And they don't even die because they have to suffer the reactions of what they do here. The people who are into meat eating, they were made to be boiled in the in a oil. And the people who are into giving plundering, taking wealth of others, then there they are also being beaten when they go to hell. So such a difficult time, and this is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. But chanting of mantra will take away all your previous sinful reactions, but provided you don't commit those mistakes again. Next. So like the seeds that are fried in a pan lose their potency to sprout. Similarly, this chanting of the holy names are they actually take away the potency of all the bad karmas, and then they will not fructify. So that is the power of holy names of Krishna. Next. So we can get relief from so many unwanted desires. Some people like to do all this, but there are people who genuinely wants to come out of all the bad habits. So for them, this mantra actually helps them to control their mind and help them to come out of their material desires, the bad activities, and make them more regulated. So in a present condition, we are slaves actually. So that's why it is told very, very, see, sometimes we say following the mind and doing whatever I like is freedom, but actually it's not freedom. It's a slavery. Your mind is making you slave of what it likes. That's why people who do not listen to the dictation of mind actually are very happy, and they are able to do very big, big things, and they feel very relaxed. So initially, it's very important to follow rules and regulations. So that's why these regulations are considered as regulative principles of freedom. Because when mind is controlled and you are free from sinful reactions, automatically you develop positivity in the mind. And that positivity will open up your mind to so many big things, which otherwise are the cause of your suffering. Because we saw law of karma, this whatever you sow, that so shall you reap. And all these sinful activities are actually called sinful because they are causing harm to somebody else. And when you do that, you also have to take that harm. So that's why the chanting of mantra can really uproot all the material desires itself. You will not, once you chant the mantra properly, you will not even have the desire to commit sinful activities. The desire itself will start reducing. Next. So regular chanters, they share their experiences. Let's see the experiences of, the regular chanters. So this is Stephen Farmer and Ramesh Lal, the Toronto Health Spa proprietors. So if I start my day on a spiritual note by chanting, I can make it through a day which is of a pleasant mood. I'll just read and go through this fast. Chanting Hare Krishna and reading authorized books on Krishna consciousness has brought me great peace. Next. Hema Malini says, let's create some magic through the power of prayers. Let's chant together Hare Krishna, end all the sufferings. Let's make a very beautiful and peaceful life. Paul Blair, he says, when I'm stressed out, I chant. It's one thing which charges my batteries. It clears my mind and brings me back in focus. Next. So he says, Sally Relje. I think that's how we pronounce, but okay. When I am nervous, I find chanting very calming. I don't get shaken up at little things. Bruce, what Bruce has to say. My outlook towards life is a lot brighter after starting to associate with Hare Krishna devotees and chanting the Maha Mantra. He's an army officer. Yes. Donald, Dr. Donald. I have noticed that as chanters progress from one level to deeper level, they become more realistic, more tolerant, and more energetic. And believe me, whatever they are telling, it's not only them. Most people are actually experiencing all this. And I can give my own example of chanting for last almost a decade. I found all these things, what they are doing in me. Of course, it is proportionate to how attentively you do it. But I have experienced this. Let's say what Mr. Rishikesh Mafatlal has to say. Chanting Hare Krishna has helped me face all ups and downs in my life with great confidence and peace of mind. Next, let's say what George Harrison has to say. He has actually, there is a very good book on chanting and being happy, which is a conversation between George Harrison, who was actually one of the biggest singer and rock band music player at his time. The band was Beatles, and people were mad about them in 60s and 70s. And he also during his rock concerts, he says chanting is really a process of having realization of God. And he says so many things actually in this book. If you get a chance, you can try to read that. Chant and be happy. Alfred Ford, Mr. Alfred Ford says, I started chanting Hare Krishna mantra on my beats and studying books. Chanting Lord Krishna's name changed my lifestyle. So much so that he is now helping India to build one of the biggest temple of the whole world. It's known as TOVP, Temple of Vedic Planetarium, which is being built in Kolkata in Nadia district. And this is going to have the whole model of the complete universe as per Vedic scriptures. And it's a foreigner who is actually helping and sponsoring the most amount of sponsorship for that project. Next. So much of benefits are there and so many people are actually experiencing. So now it's time for us to just try and experience this bliss. Okay, so you can actually on your videos, if you want, or at least audio, we'll have this mantra shown on the screen. You can try to chant together. Let's say we have another 10 minutes. So we'll just try to chant for 27 times. Okay, you have to chant 27 times. How do you count 27 times? Just see your fingers. Either you say 5 ka 3 times or 5 times and then 2, or you chant 1 2 3 on one finger, and like that you have how many you have? 5 3 15. So like that you can do. But let's say 25, 27 times. Let's chant. In next, it will take another 5 minutes, and then we can go to the end of the session for today. So are you ready? Please show me thumbs up. Are we ready to just experience this chanting today? Please show me a thumbs up on your chat or on your emojis here. Are we ready to experience this chanting? Good, Mahesh. Everyone, I invite you to please wake up. And okay, Saurav is there. Dhruva, yes. So let's start the chanting, and we just chant this Panchatattva mantra before starting to chant. This is a Vedic saying that you should remember the name of the acharyas, the other names of this one mantra, because this will help you to get the concentration to chant the Maha Mantra better. So you all can unmute if you like to, and
मंत्र बन रहा है.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva. So just try to hear what you are chanting. Okay. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Rama Rama
Rama.
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama,
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 Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare. Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
So thank you very much. And let's go to next slide. So this was wonderful chanting with all of you. And at least I felt that joy. And it was in chanting, I think all of you would experience something. And we can do that more often. Next slide. Prabhu. So what did we hear today? Effects of sound. Mantra, the meaning of mantra, how it is helpful in delivering the mind. The process of self-realization. Yes. And then we saw some of the scriptural references, and we saw the scientific studies on that, and then we saw the effects of chanting, the beneficial effects of chanting. Yes. So thank you very much for joining, and I have a very important announcement for all of you that we are going to continue this chanting session for all of you for, let's say, 15 minutes or 10 minutes every day. Okay. So this session can happen for 10 minutes every day at 7 p.m. The same link will be there. You all are encouraged to just join this thing, and then we can all chant it together. You just have to join the same link, and then we can make some groups of yours in some room, which is a facility in Zoom. And in the small groups, we can chant for, let's say, 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes every day at 7 p.m. So who all can take out some time and would like to experience this chanting more are most welcome to join that chanting. So thank you very much. You took all your time. I'm really thankful, because when I see so many people, I work in a hospital, and I'm seeing so many students just roaming around either on mobile or some chit chat, and at that special time you all have taken out that time to do to improve yourself towards something very positive. And I'm pretty sure that Lord will really see your effort which you are putting here, and he will really give you back in multifolds of what you are putting the endeavor. So thank you very much. It's very encouraging for us to see all of you participating in this, and we hope to serve you more and more in future. So we welcome you to join this chanting session from tomorrow every day at 7 p.m. and hope to see you again on Friday with our further sessions, which are going to be the last sessions of this DYS Discover Yourself course. So next week will be the last session. So we hope to see you again there. And meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments, you can always put in the chat box or unmute yourself. And there'll be a quiz which will be sent to you again on today's session, which you can either solve now, or the link will be posted in the group for you to see. And we'll also share the link of the class today for all the last 3 classes for if you want to go back and revise on them. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Hare Krishna. Of course, I'm there. If you have some questions, I'm available for next 2 minutes to see anything comes in the chat box. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Dr. Sushil. The link for the quiz will be posted in the group later. I request everyone to fill the quiz. And also, yesterday's quiz, only 2 people have responded. I request that everyone else also take part and respond for the answer the quiz. Thank you very much.